Support for the Klyph Notes podcast comes from Acapella Apparel, an idea born from a love of hip-hop, funk, and soul music and its surrounding cultures. With fashion being a huge visual part of the cultures, they've created expressive images to pay homage, invoke nostalgia, and showcase the elements that make up the lifestyle and cultures of these genres. Acapella, apparel for the music lifestyle. For more information, check out acapella.com. That's AKEPELE.com. Super excited to have this dude on the podcast for several reasons. One, because I was saying to him before we got set up, man, it's so cool to see him not working, because most of the time when I see him, he's working. So it's cool to have him just come through to chop it up. And I feel like this dude has got so much information, so much history when it comes to Portland hip hop. So I'm just excited to be able to chop it up with him. So let him know who you are.
Hey, I'm Zeb.
What's good, B?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing really, really good, man. Thank you for real. Thank you so much for being here. I really
thank you
appreciate
for having me, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Zebulon Dak, Momentum Studios. Anybody who listens to the radio show Welcome to the Neighborhood, they get to hear from you all the time because you did that drop for me 3 years ago that I still play. So definitely appreciate that, man. I don't even know where to begin, bro. When it comes to Portland hip hop, you're such a staple of this movement, man.
I appreciate you saying that. First of all, this is some Portland hip hop. I feel like it's something I just kind of fell into, and have got to be a really big part of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I appreciate that more than anything. Getting to meet and work with and watch grow. All the different artists over the years. It's been a real blessing and very cool, and I super appreciate just being able to do it.
No doubt, no doubt. So I not originally from Portland. When I came through and worked on trying to see who was in the scene, how could I be involved? How who do I meet, this, that, and the third? So you start doing your research. And I remember reading this article a while ago, and you were featured in the article, and they told the story of Momentum Studios and sort of how that came to be. But for people who aren't familiar with it, because I've learned that it wasn't just Momentum Studios, just the recording component at first. But how did you get connected with that? What was that whole collective?
Well, so when that article you're talking, there was two articles. There was either the one Casey Jarman did or the one that was in We Out Here, where they both kind of came and talked to me. The Casey Jarman one,
it was one I think.
I really hadn't been involved with Momentum for that long at that point. You know what I mean? I had just recently taken over for Trinity, a.k.a. Snafu, fellow Oldominionite, who was running the studio back then. So Momentum started as a studio back in 99, 2000, somewhere in that area.
Okay.
And that was Trinity, and then they had a couple of different people working there at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But Trinity had sort of started transitioning into doing more video production and getting away from the audio side of things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it just so happened that I was running a little studio in my bedroom when my house in Vancouver. I lived with Sleep.
Okay, word.
Sleep and
That's
Smoke.
My guy, man.
And Sindel.
Okay.
And I had a little studio up there in my attic bedroom. Just that. The mic in the same room as my bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of old situation.
Yeah,
and did that for a couple of years. And that house was going away. Everybody was moving away. Everybody was falling apart. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had moved down here from Seattle with Oldominion in mind. That's what I came down here for, was to be a part of that and do whatever I could. And so it's right when this house was kind of falling apart and everybody was moving on and going to do their own things, Trinity called me and said, "Do you want to come work at Momentum?"
Yeah.
I think he said something like, "I can't promise you a lot of money, but I think he said about $400 a month was what he could guarantee I would make."
Okay.
But he said I could, I could crash there.
Yeah.
They had little offices, and if I didn't have anywhere else to stay, I could stay the night there and that sort of thing. And so I did. I moved in, and within weeks and months, I pretty much took over most of the recording duties over there. Cuddy Dre was there at the time. Wisdom was another guy, part of the Black Gov. We were all running the studio, but eventually I ended up doing the majority of the recording sessions there. So
Got you.
Momentum became synonymous with, for a long time, people would just call it, go record with Zeb, go record with Zebs, that kind of thing. But I always wanted to keep the Momentum name alive, and not have it be Zeb's place or Zeb's studio. You know what I mean? I just wanted it to be Momentum. So that's what I just tried to continue doing what Trinity was doing before me.
Okay, that's what's up. So then I don't know if it was somehow related to that, reading that article, or again just seeing what was happening in the scene and events that were going down. But I feel like I connected with I don't know if I connected with Sleep First or Josh, but somebody said, "Hey, I was like, this is who I am. I'm trying to connect with folk. Like, we're having this event come through." No, you know who it was? Shoot, I forgot his name. All right, anyway, they were like, we're having this event. You should come through. It's a spot called the Hacienda. I was like, all right.
Okay.
So I came through. Yeah. That's where I met Tope. Shout out to my guy Tope. Met Tope for the first time. Like, met him, and he was like, "Yo, good to meet you. About to go play ball."
Sounds like Tope.
Yeah, exactly. There was a grip of people there. I had Zone on the podcast, and I told Zone this story. It was the first time I ever met Zone. So I was walking through the spot, and there's like little pockets of people doing stuff, and I just seen this dude on the turntable just like getting
just going wild,
right? And I was like, that was the first time I remember. That's the first time I met Zone. Talked to Josh for a minute, and they were like, "Yeah, these are the studios." And so then I saw your space. I don't remember if Portland Underground was there yet.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
We moved in together. Me and Prince and Phil designed that space together. I think it was mostly Prince who did the designing, but I was there for it. He was definitely the main reason a studio was being built there.
Oh, that's what's up.
I was secondary at that point.
Okay.
So
once again, if people have an opportunity to listen to Welcome to the Neighborhood, they also hear a drop from Prince for shout me out. So big up to my guy Prince. But such a cool space, man. Such a cool collaborative space. I mean, we're here at X-Ray at Falcon Art, and you get to see the art on the wall, and it sort of reminds me of that. Like, you walk into this, it's just a creative space because there's so much that goes on there, and I would have to imagine that fuels some of what happens there. From a recording standpoint,
it's funny because the Momentum side in particular oftentimes feels real disconnected from the rest of the building because we have our own separate entrance. A lot of times, a lot of the guys that I work with on my side don't even know that there's another side of the building or what's going on over there. But as far as you brought up Sleep and Josh, we did. A lot of the Chicharron stuff there at that studio, and they were involved on the other side of the building, and they were part of what was going on over there with the art shows, and it's definitely good to have just that creative space with different creative people and creative minds around you. I'm sure that fuels a lot of what goes into making the music.
Yeah, no doubt. Chopping up with my guy Zebulon Dak. So, You're like an official member of Oldominion.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm doing my little research or whatever, and I know that everybody from Oldominion records at Momentum. Like, I know that, but you're official.
Well, it's funny because I was officially a member of Oldominion before I'd ever recorded anybody.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't do nothing, man. I didn't. I rapped as a youngster coming up, but when I met Oldominion, which wasn't Oldominion at the time, I met Smoke, my guy Ruben, rest in peace, and then Henri and Sleep, Destro, all them guys. I was like, I'm not a rapper anymore because these guys were amazing. This just blew my mind. And
right.
I was like, I can't. I can't do this. Isn't for me. This part of it isn't for me. I don't have that level of talent, and I see it now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I just decided to be. I always wanted to be involved.
Yeah.
So I just did what I could. I was always around when decisions were made, when names were picked.
Yeah.
I was there when songs was being recorded, that entire process. So I think it was only kind of natural for me to step into a role. I produced some, but mostly I think that was my calling, was to engineer for them.
Yeah, no doubt.
So,
and that's gotta feel good, man, to see from that crew, from that collective, the fact that members are still doing their thing today. That Oldominion hasn't done anything as Oldominion in a minute, but members and some of the subgroups are still rocking. That's
when you're an MC in the the hip hop, the way we use that word, the way we used to use that word,
right.
It's kind of with you, I think, forever in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for a artist growing, a lot of times there probably comes a point where it becomes secondary for you. It's not your main focus. When you're 20, 21, 22, don't got no kids yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're just rapping. That's all you want to do is rap.
Yeah.
And then, you find out, or you figure out, or you grow an audience for what you do.
Yeah.
And it's your main focus. But then life oftentimes sends you in different directions. You know what I mean? But I think for most of the dudes and gals in Oldominion, hip hop will always be an important part of their lives. So for the most part, even the ones that aren't super active, if you need a verse or something, they'll be there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, especially guys like Sleep and Honorary, guys who have just kept making music throughout the years. Yeah. PG-13, who has kind of been a while now, but he was putting out that Taco Neck a few years ago, which is a real strong project, I think. A good example of the growth of Oldominion, and kind of where we came from, our little underground roots to getting good at making music,
right?
Making music for grown folks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And one of it may have been that same article that I read. You talked about, and I'm sure, especially early on, it was the case, and maybe even to a certain degree now. You talked about, like, I'm recording people. I'm recording whoever comes through that needs to be recorded. Some people who I don't really dig their stuff, but come on, I got you.
Yeah.
Is that still the case now, having been doing it as long as you have, with your name out there? And is that challenging, or is it just work?
Yeah, I mean, it is still the case. I'll work with anybody. Like, I don't discriminate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I learned a long time ago that to do what I'm doing, you just have to accept that you're not going to like some of the music, or sometimes it's most of the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that the reasons have changed a little bit. Back when I started, I was quote unquote hip hop head, and I was into the real hip hop, and I may have not liked some of the stuff I was recording because I didn't think that it was on that level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That kind of stuff, I think I grew out of that a little bit. Now it's just more that I just don't really appreciate the modern form of rap and hip hop. If it's still called that, that's obviously debatable.
Right.
But it's not for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm the old guy now. Like, I got to keep up to a certain degree just so I'm able to kind of do what it is the kids need me to do in the studio. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, it's never been about running a studio. Isn't about making your type of music. You know what I mean? It's about facilitating people making their type of music and trying to help them the best you can.
Yeah.
So that's what I do.
And with that, do you feel like folk are receptive to that? Because with your years of experience and having had an opportunity to connect, I mean, like, you've recorded the artists that you've recorded. I mean, obviously the members of Oldominion, who I think are amazing MCs, but like, you've recorded, like, people come from out of town to work with you. So, I mean, are other artists, maybe younger artists or artists who could use some guidance are they open to, and do you offer that, or are you just like, bro, you tell me what you need, I'm gonna do it?
It's something that you kind of have to learn as you go, and a lot of people that I've talked to that are trying to get into engineering, besides the fact that I usually convince them that this isn't actually something that they want to do.
Yeah.
But they asked, like my boy Flynn, who's been working on the For the Love events with McTools, owner Phil, we call him. He actually brought that up. I was he might come in and run some sessions at Momentum. So we was kind of showing him just the ropes of what I do, and he's got some engineering experience himself. He's no rookie, but he asked me that specifically, like, when do you know to tell somebody, to give somebody advice, and when do you know to just let them do what they want to do? Yeah, you kind of have to feel an artist out. Yeah. So definitely some people are more receptive to advice than others. And sometimes you see somebody do it wrong 1,000 times, but if they're not the type of person that's receptive to being told, hey, maybe try it this way, you kind of maybe you never do, But I think that most people that I've worked with are receptive to at least a certain degree. Yeah. And they take the advice of somebody who's been there and knows what they're talking about. Yeah. Not necessarily in a creative aspect, but in a technical aspect. Right. Maybe try it this way. Maybe take one of the earphones off so you can hear your live voice in the room. That kind of stuff. Right. A lot of young people coming up that have never been in a studio before don't know those things. So most of them will at least try try your ideas out.
I mean, you would hope that would be the case, that people would be looking for a bit of guidance. Now, where we all have bedroom studios, right? I mean, it's so easy now. You can have a studio on your iPad, so I can record my album and then upload it to SoundCloud, and now I'm a musician or an artist,
right?
Yeah. One of the other things that I think I read, I don't know if it was the same article or not, but there are rules, and it's got to be different because you're the engineer, but it's also your studio,
right?
So there's a certain level of ownership there, and there are rules that you had when you're in the studio,
yeah.
And you'd think that, like, you wouldn't have to tell people, come on, man, but obviously
sometimes, yeah, I do have, like, if you go to my website, which is zebulondak.com, by the way, if you go there and you can schedule a session right there through the website, there is a link. Please click here to read our guidelines. There's not a lot of firm rules as to what is and isn't allowed. Now, one thing I don't allow inside the studio is smoking. And that's obviously been a point of contention. For
I
years.
I can imagine, especially with this genre of music.
Right. But I don't feel like somebody smoking a blunt in a 10 by 10 room that doesn't have any ventilation is conducive to me being able to do my job to the best of my ability. You know what I mean? So,
and there's gear in there. There's expensive gear in there.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, the only real rules is no smoking, no fighting.
Yeah.
You got, I work with a lot of guys from a lot of different areas and people that feel different kind of ways about each other and that kind of thing. It's the studio's no place for it. Yeah. That's I think my biggest rule is, if it's going to be an issue, take it outside of the studio. Go do it somewhere else. If you got to do it somewhere else.
Have you had that? Have you been in those situations where you've had to, like, stop a session?
No. I haven't. And it's funny, when I took over at Momentum, there had been stories of fights. But I've only ever had one time where there was really anything physical that happened, and they were able to keep it from actually happening. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think people appreciate kind of the sanctuary of the studio, because they're all there for the same reason too, and it's because they want to succeed at making music. They want to, So I don't think it's that difficult for them to say, okay, this is separate from whatever else is going on. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I've had some weird requests over the years for certain kind of things people wanted to do. And,
like during sessions?
Yeah. This goes back to the same thing I said in that article you were reading about, requests of certain things people wanted to do in the booth to get a audio recording of it where I've had to be like, nah, you know what I mean? Like you can find somewhere to do that on your own time.
Right.
You know
Right,
what I mean?
right,
If you
right.
absolutely need that. But
Yeah.
you know, most of the time it's not even something you have to think about because people tend to be respectful enough. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I understand, you know, when people are in a creative mode, I kind of try to give them their space too. You know, I mean, I don't like people coming up and touching knobs and buttons or sticking their grimy fingertips on my screen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
But,
right.
you know, I also understand when somebody's in their creative mode, they're not necessarily thinking about that kind of stuff. So, you know, unless somebody really crosses any lines, you know, I usually let it go.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I you know, again, it's got to be. It's funny because I had an opportunity to go to a Trailblazer game with my friend DJ OG1, and was like down on the floor with him when he was spinning for the team, like during warm ups, and then was up when he's up in the booth, and it was sort of cool, like, you know, you down there, like, and there's Dave and there's CJ and like right there, you know, like dapping you up or whatever, and we were probably like at halftime when that initial sort of adrenaline wears off, and then you realize, and I said to him, I was like, I just want to work with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that sort of, like for me, it's exciting, but for him, I'm sure it's exciting as well, but he's just going to work.
It's not the same kind of excitement.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I would imagine it's similar for you. Like these cats are coming in the studio and I'm in the studio and I'm working on this record and I, you know, have all these plans and these dreams. And for you, it's like, yeah, I'm at work, B. So, you know what I mean? Let me work.
Right. Well, and especially now too, just over the last couple of years, you know, going live on social media has become a thing where, you know, we got like a 19, 20-year-old dude and a couple of his friends, and they come in the studio, their first time in a studio, they're wide-eyed, and it's like a huge moment for them. And then they got their phones out and they're live on Facebook and they're jumping around and dancing, and you know, and they want to be holding their Draco out or you know, have a blunt lit, and I'm like, look, this is my workspace. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to give me a little bit of room, and I got to hear. That's another thing people seem to forget is like, I'm listening. Like you can have whatever kind of conversation you want to behind me, but I'm working on your music.
Right.
And if you want your music to come out right, you got to shut up for a little bit.
right. Yeah.
And I turn it up louder, and then they talk louder.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean?
That don't work.
Yeah. And that, you know, it's funny. Like in particular, it's when I'm doing radio edits. I have full-on conversations going on behind me, and I'm like, I have to listen. You've heard your song 1,000 times,
right? But
I don't know it that well,
right?
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta be quiet so I can hear and make sure I'm getting all the right words out of there.
Yes.
So Klyph can play it on the radio show.
Yes. And let me take a minute right here to say, Zeb, publicly, thank you so much for doing such a great job on the radio edits, B. So appreciate
no
it,
sweat.
man.
Happy to do it.
My guy Zebulon Dak here on Klyph Notes. I'm gonna take just a quick second, man. I got to shout out my folk over at Acapella Apparel, man. They've been supporting the Klyph Notes podcast for a year now, and it's been cool to have them support what we're doing. And it's cool to be connected with a local brand doing things in the city. You can check them out at acapella.com. That's AKEPELE.com. They really actually have some really, really cool stuff.
They
man.
do plus sizes.
They do. They got big boy size. You see me rocking acapella right now, man, and I can't rock with the size mediums. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They just released a new dope project. Sort of an ode to the b-boy. So you can check them out. Check out the new tee. I know they also brought back the Hip Hop Boulevard tee and sweatshirts, which I have both of them. They're really, really cool. So check them out, acapella.com. Chopping up with my guy Zebulon Dak. So as you're, you know, getting further into the engineering and recording process, and obviously you have your crew around you, so folk that you know, yeah, of course I'm gonna rock with these guys. Was there ever an artist you thought, man, I really love to have this individual like come through, and then it happened?
It's happened. Yeah. You know, it's funny because I hear about guys so much, and I work with people that, you know, everybody knows everybody.
Right.
So it's almost like you forget that you don't know somebody. Like I think I saw Vinny Dwayne on the street one time, and I realized he doesn't know me. Like I thought I was gonna go and say what's up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He didn't know me yet. And so I remember he came in the studio finally, and we got a picture together, and I was like, wait a minute, you never been in here before?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's crazy to me. Like, I swear to God, I feel like I know you already almost, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it was the same thing with Mike Capes and Glenn Waco, Rashid Jamal. It's almost like and I think social media probably ties into this a lot. Is like, I feel like I know these guys before I even met them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so when they do come into the studio, it's like easy. You know, it just works.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely.
With the people that you do know, you know, folk like Sleep, Henri, XP. I mean, like people whose careers have grown outside of the region, and then they're connecting with people outside of the region, bringing people into the city. Names of artists that some of the listeners might know that you've had an opportunity to record aside from local folk.
So some people that I've worked with, Latrell James from Boston. He's the one that did the Cheerios that good goes around and around and around. Yeah, he was on Henri's duo album, so I got to work with his voice a little bit, not him personally necessarily, but his voice. Yeah, you know, I've got to do cool things like have Mr. Fab in the studio, Aesop Rock. I'm trying to think of who else. I had the Jacket in there.
Okay,
rest in peace.
Yeah.
You know, you end up working with people that you don't expect you ever would. Right. You know what I mean?
So when those people, you know, when those opportunities come your way, I don't even know. Do you get like starstruck at all? Do you fanboy out, or is it just like whatever?
Not so much. I think by the time I actually was able to get Aesop Rock in the studio, who was probably the one I would have fanboyed the most over. I'd known him then long enough at that point that it was, oh yeah, okay, well Ace is in the booth now, you know what I mean? Right. But yeah, like he was, you know, my favorite rapper for a real long time. And not to say that he's not my favorite rapper anymore. I don't necessarily know that I have a favorite rapper at this point. But, but yeah, it'd have been different if it had been 10 years ago. Right. you know what I mean? Right. But I'm used to all this stuff now, so it's, you know, still cool. Yeah. But yeah, definitely don't do any freaking out. I don't have to go in the bathroom and catch my breath or anything like that. You know what I mean?
So you know, thinking, just playing off that statement, is the process still cool? Like, do you feel like it's fun? Like, do you enjoy it?
Sometimes it's definitely, you know, I've been doing this now for close to 20 years. Wow. So I think anything you do for that long, it's just different after a while. You know what I mean? Like I definitely have moments where I'm still like super pumped that a song turned out the way it did, or that things are going the way they are. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's a job. It's a job. So there's days where I don't really want to be there. Yeah. you know, there's days when it gets tedious, days where it doesn't feel challenging enough. And I think that's a big thing that I'm kind of dealing with right now, is kind of being unchallenged, at least in the realm of, you know, what I do for a living. You know what I mean? Like, personalities can be challenging, but that's not the same thing, really. You know what I mean? Like, rap music's kind of easy. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, do you feel like a part of the seeking that challenge is the true change that has happened to the genre? I mean, things have really gotten simplistic now. Do you think that is that's something that's impacted you, or that contributes to that feeling, or is that just my perception?
No, I think you're right. One of the big things that I've noticed and is frustrating is that the burden is not on the artist so much anymore to perform as it is for the person mixing to do a good job of it. To take it's. I hate to put it this way, but this is kind of how I think of it. Sometimes it's almost like the rapper or the singer or the artist wants to do as little as possible. And I see it with these guys who go in the booth and they do a take and they even mess up and don't do it right, but then they're out of the booth.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to fix it, and I'm supposed to make it sound like the stuff on the radio sounds. You know what I mean?
Right.
And sometimes I want to just like, look, you're a performer. You have to perform.
Yeah.
This isn't my job to make your music good. My job is to make your music sound good, but you have to make the good music first. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're going to rely on echoes and reverbs and stutters and beat drops to make your song good, and it's not, your song should be good enough already. That stuff should just be accent to make it better.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that can be frustrating.
I can remember it. So it's funny because I realize so much now, and because I am old, but I sound old sometimes. But I can remember when I used to rhyme, and I had an opportunity to go into a studio. The thought was like, we're going in the studio. So first off, before you go in, and you had to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? So first off, before you go in, like, know your stuff, like have practice, like know what you want to do. First of all, second of all, whatever you do in there, that's a representation of me. So like, I may do 3 or 4 takes because I wanted a certain kind of way, and then being in there and talking to engineers, and you realize like little things are important. You know what I'm saying? Even the track, like if that snare doesn't sound right now, get it as close to what you want it to be before you lay it down, before you give it to the engineer. Do you find that there are people that come to you that are still that specific about what they're giving you prior to you hitting record?
Yeah. I mean, it's all over the place. I mean, it definitely goes in all different directions. I mean, obviously, you're paying money to be here. Like, it's in your best interest to come as prepared as possible, right?
Yeah.
But I also understand that for a lot of people, they got a lot going on in their lives. Yeah. Studio is maybe their only chance to actually work on stuff. So, so people are writing in there; they want to make beats. Yeah. So I understand that as well. But I don't know. I've seen the 2 best songs I ever worked on. One of them was written ahead of time, and the guy knew exactly what he wanted when he came in, and the other one was a spur of the moment in the studio. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it works both ways for sure. And and then you got different kind of artists like Henri Osborne, for example. He can be meticulous about his music. He can do a take 1,000 times, and I hear nothing different, but in half of them, they sound exactly the same to me, but he doesn't sound right to his ear. And he's going to do it again until he's 100% happy with it. And if he's not happy with it, that song might not ever get finished, or might never see the light of day. You know what I mean? Like we might not, never even get to the mixing part of it because he's like, you know what, this isn't working. This isn't sounding how I wanted it to. And then guys like, and this isn't bad. This isn't a knock. I'm trying to get nobody on my head over this, but Keith Canvas, for example, is a guy who just goes in there and does what he does once or twice, and he's happy. You know what I mean? Like he likes that. He just wants it that natural kind of, this is what it sounded like when I did it that time. So that's how the song is. You know what I mean? And Keith Canvas is somebody who is having success doing what he's doing. So there's no way to say one way is right and one way is wrong. You know, whatever works for you.
That's true. Because at the end of the day, that is their project. You mentioned you've been doing this for like coming up on 2 decades. When it comes to Portland, the Portland music scene specifically, how do you feel about, and I know you record more than just hip hop artists, but in terms of hip hop, how do you feel about, what are your thoughts on the Portland scene now? What have you seen happen over these 20 years in Portland?
I have met a lot of super successful, super driven, super talented artists over the years here in Portland. And I don't know that the level of talent has changed much. You know what I mean? I think there's always a handful of 10 to 20, maybe more than that, artists who are talented enough to reach, whatever success is. I think that what's changed. Okay, so here's an unpopular opinion. I think in maybe our peer group in the older generation, I believe that the young people are naturally better at making rap music than we were. I think it's in their blood. They grew up listening to the greats, and the post. Like for example. Okay, so I would consider guys that started rapping 10 years ago, kind of the Eminem generation. Those guys grew up listening to Eminem while they were in school, and that kind of era. Right. Say what you want about Eminem, but he's a master of syllables, right? Like nobody can string together words and syllables the way that guy does it. Still does it.
Yeah.
So I think that's in them already. You know what I mean? Which is kind of what makes it weird to me that they want to go so far away from that. It was rap music. It was such an important thing to be a good rapper.
Yeah.
And being a good rapper meant having good lyrics, and being able to spit them a certain way that was like impressive to people, and a lot of the current group don't. That's not what's important.
Right.
So it's interesting because I think that a lot of these younger kids could probably body us it just rapping if they really wanted to, but they don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's been an interesting thing to watch over the years how everything's moved and how it's changed and where it's all at right now.
Yeah. And that's a good way to describe it. And I think I've become a bit more open. I try to think about, it's so cliche-ish, but I try to think about how the generations before me felt about my generation, and what we were doing. So I try to be open and receptive. It's just so odd. I had an opportunity to see a performance recently, and the thing that came across to me was like the entire song was hooked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was waiting on the verse.
Yeah.
And the verse never came.
Don't matter.
Yeah. It's just turn up.
What's a verse for?
Right. It's just interesting. It's
ad libs.
Yeah.
It's about ad libs.
Yeah.
It's about a beat.
Yeah.
It's about a vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. It's not about a song. It's about a vibe.
Yeah.
So
it's just interesting. And not to say, and there's definitely, I used to say that there was no balance, but the fact of the matter is there is balance. And I think it's a matter of getting back to digging. It's a matter of looking for those artists. Homeboy Sandman's about to drop a project,
right? And
there you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. An artist who skillful, creative, can spit, right. Content. But
you got Joey Badass out
right.
there, and Dave East,
yes.
and Vince Staples, and Schoolboy Q.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how old Schoolboy Q is, but he's a young rapper to me.
Right? Yeah. No. Absolutely.
What I mean?
Absolutely.
And those guys rap their asses off, and they're good at it.
Yeah.
So, it's not gone by any means. No. It's just not necessarily the most popular.
Right. And it's not as mainstream, which is funny because I'm old enough to remember fighting the fight. Like I want hip hop. I want rap to be accepted.
Right.
And then it got accepted, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Wait, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, he said, chill out, Puffy.
Right. Exactly.
That's not what I meant.
That's not exact. No, it's not at all what I meant. That's crazy though. Zebulon Dak.
Yeah.
Bruh. Where does that even come from?
Well, let's say, okay. I've had a lot of rap names over the years, right?
As we all have, bro. As we all have.
That made sense and some that didn't on different levels. And embarrassingly, I'm going to put this out there. When I met Oldominion, or, the old, what was Oldominion before Oldominion.
Yeah.
Smoke, who is...
Shout out to Smoke.
Yeah, Smoke's my longtime best friend. Like we kind of, I was rapping before I met Smoke. He was rapping before he met me, but we kind of came up together learning to produce and engineer. And, I learned a lot from that guy.
Yeah.
Because he's fearless. He will tell you, I know exactly how to do that.
Uh-huh.
He has no idea how to do it, but he's going to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not like, I don't have that confidence.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know how to do that,
right.
But he'll figure it out. So he says, I can do that. I can master your album. We've never mastered an album before, Smoke. He's like, dude, it's not that hard. We can figure it out, right?
Right.
So because I'm of Italian heritage. Okay. My mom was born and raised in Italy. Moved over here a couple years before I was born in the 70s. For all you youngsters listening, Smoke decided that since I'm Italian, I have to have a name based on Italian pasta. So he started calling me Fettuccine. Right. And I'm 18 years old,
right.
17, 18 years old, somewhere in there. And I thought it was cool.
Well, I mean,
hell
MC
yeah.
Fettuccine.
I got a name.
Word.
Smoke is kind of my door. He opened up Seattle hip hop for me.
Word.
I lived in Everett, Washington, about half hour north of Seattle. And I had my little rap crew that we hung out, we rapped together, and we were watching Rap City and all that every day. But I don't think I really knew about the culture of hip hop at that point.
Yeah.
And Smoke kind of introduced me to some people that's when I was introduced to hip hop as a culture and not just rap music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to get that name, and he's introducing me to people who would end up being people that I really looked up to. Henri, Ruben, like I mentioned before, our friend who passed away. He's introducing me to these people as Fettuccine. Mm-hmm. So it just stuck.
Yeah.
Well, 6 to 9 months in to being named Fettuccine and kind of coming around to the realization that it's not a tight name. Right. I wanted to change my name, but I didn't, you can't just pick a name. Right. I had a buddy. I still have a buddy. His name's Azrael. He lives up there in the north near Seattle. Fellow Oldominion member. He had a book of angels, and he's given everybody angel names. Which was a whole nother interesting part of growing up and becoming Oldominion and all that stuff. But there was an angel named Zebulon in this book, and it kind of stuck out to me. And also at the time I was into the Bible, reading the Bible a lot, and there was always the tribe of Zebulon, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. And at the same time, anybody who knows me knows that I'm a big Star Wars fan. Mm-hmm. And I had a book, a Star Wars encyclopedia, which had all the names of anybody who'd ever been part of Star Wars, which back in 97, 98, there was this huge expanded universe of Star Wars, the things that weren't in the movie. There was cartoons and comic books, and there was a guy who his name was Zebulon Dak. He was the owner of the Zebulon Dak Speeder Corporation, and he was sympathetic to the rebellion. So those 3 names of Zebulon, or some version of that, just kind of stuck. And Azrael, he's the name giver, so he deemed me Zebulon, and I just used the full version of the one from Star Wars.
That's what's up.
And now all my Uber drivers call me Zebulon.
That's what's up.
I mean, I'm Zeb, right? That's what I am to pretty much everybody. So, but even my family sometimes
we'll call you Zeb.
Yeah, but it's totally not my birth name. But you know what I mean? That's what I am.
That's what's up.
That's not who I am. That's what I am.
That's what. Yes, and there is a distinction. There's definitely a distinction there. It's funny, man, and I mean a longer conversation for a different time. But in talking to Destro, probably most extensively Destro about the history of Oldominion, and then some of the things that I've read, and then also Hawkeye, who's up in Seattle,
Nichols
Jackson, yeah. There's always been a bit of an undertone of Oldominion that is spiritual, which speaks to speaks to my where I am, where I live.
Yeah,
and I think that's I think that's interesting. That's cool that was always a bit of, and I think even now to a certain degree, listening to Oldominion artists who are still recording, you still hear some of that foundation. It's interesting.
Yeah, at the time when Old Dominion kind of came together, there was like kind of the half of us that were Christian, and then the other half that weren't necessarily Christian, but definitely were into spirituality in some sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely drove the music. We were often mistaken for a Christian rap group.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Although that was not the case. There were Christians in the group, but we didn't make worship music. You know what I mean? It wasn't a Christian group.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to go very far back to find the first times we were using cuss words and talking about things that are definitely not Christian in the music. So
yeah,
I don't know how that kind of lasted for as long as it did, but
yeah.
But at the same time, just having some level of spirituality seems to have people, they were attracted to it and they attached to it. And I think, you hear over the years just from randoms, especially, we were kind of around during kind of the birth of the internet as far as music goes, back in the mp3.com days, which was one of the earliest ways to get your music out on the internet. I think some of those underground rap groups got famous off of mp3.com. I think Living Legends, LA Symphony, those kind of groups, I think they thrived because of that. And Old Dominion had a little chunk of that for a little while. But you start to get emails, hey, you don't know me, I live in Raleigh or, Newark or something. And I found you guys on mp3.com and your music has helped me get through tough times. And I think regardless of what your focus is or what your music's about, if you can touch people like that, then that's awesome. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's always cool to hear those kind of stories. And then it crosses the line sometimes. And I think, somebody like Henri and Sleep could probably attest to this a little better than I could, but you get those fans that are overboard. Like, your music helped me through some tough times. Okay, well, hey man, thank you. I really appreciate you listening. And then it's like, can I come live with you?
oh wow.
Or you know what I mean? Like slow down.
Yeah. And joking, not joking, what I know of Sleep would probably be like, yeah, I got
a room right now.
I got a room over here. Come on through. Don't hit Sleep up about staying in this spot though, because he'll probably welcome you in.
He doesn't live at the Hip Hop Hotel, despite what you may have heard.
So again, you've been doing this for a minute. And you'll have to tell me how long ago it was, but you have entered the world of podcasting.
Right.
The Triple B podcast.
The Triple B podcast.
How long y'all been doing it?
We're coming up on 4 years now.
Wow.
3.5 years. I think March maybe of 2015 is when we started. March, April, somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Abaddon and Chase Burton. Abba's a artist himself. He raps and sings ish or yells or whatever you want to call it. Chase is a very talented drummer. He's played for the Chicharrones and a lot of other groups around town. He is about to start playing with Grand Royale.
Oh, word?
Yeah. So
it's like a Beasties.
Like a tribute band kind of.
Yeah.
So he's just getting into that. That should be pretty big, and I'm really excited for him for that. But we it's pretty funny. We decided one weekend, me and Abba, that we were going to go take a Saturday a month and go to a toy store or a comic book store and just kind of have a day where we can just be kids again. You know what I mean? Like, or not a day, but a couple of hours where it's not rap music. It's not family stuff. It's just do what we liked to do when we were young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And while we're out doing this, Chase decides to tag along, and we thought, what if we tried podcasting? Podcasting had in 2015 had been big for a while, but it was kind of getting like mainstream big at that point. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, why not? Let's go to this. I think we went to Toys R Us and then to maybe Cosmic Monkey or some other, I don't remember exactly what it was, but they were like, yeah, let's go to the studio, we'll plug in some mics and we'll talk about it for a half hour, you know, see what can happen. Yeah. And then we just loved it.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. There was like an adrenaline rush of getting on the mic, not knowing what we were doing or what we were going to talk about exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. And as soon as it was over, instantly it was like, we can't wait another month to do that. We have to do that again as soon as possible. And of course, it helped that we put it out on Facebook and it got, 500 plays right off the bat, like pretty quick. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're like, oh, maybe we could do this. Maybe we could be successful. You know what I mean? Yeah. It hasn't exactly gone the route we thought it would, but it's something we do that we enjoy, something that we hope to continue doing and to grow. And in a sense, it's my creative outlet.
Yeah.
I don't make my own music. It's been a long time since I did that. I don't involve myself in the arts too much. You know what I mean? And I don't draw and I don't paint. So this has become kind of my way to express myself. Yeah. Outside of work and home.
Yeah. Yeah. So. And I think one of the things that I love about podcasting, and I think of it from the standpoint of a curator, it gives your audience, your fans, or people who know of you, an opportunity to get to know you. I feel like when people sit down, and now it's kind of changing because of, I think, the popularity of podcasting, where I think now you have people who are more, characters or caricatures of themselves behind the microphone.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of folk, and this is what I feel like when I listen to Triple B, like you really get to know you guys, because it's like you guys turn on the microphones and you get to be in the room of three friends who were just like chopping it up.
Right.
And, so again, from your standpoint, or for you specifically, we know that Zeb runs sound. He records people at Momentum Studios, but now we get to hear you talk and, kind of get, yeah, we know you're a Seahawks fan, but we get more than that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We know that you like Star Wars. We get more than that, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like anybody who knows me through the studio in particular, those are the things they know about me. They know I like the Seahawks, and they know I like Star Wars, and that's about the end of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, having that outlet to be able to, not only like, so our thing all along was to make it sound natural. We didn't want to have like a super edited down NPR style, radio show. We wanted to have a conversation. Yeah. And we wanted to make it, fun. We wanted people to feel like they wanted to be involved in that conversation. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, we talk about things that we're into, whether it's movies, TV shows. Initially it was really heavily focused on comic books and just the whole comic book world, like that kind of thing. But it evolved very quickly into being about everything else that we do in life too. Now it's camping stories or hiking stories or anything else that we're doing is part of the show now. Yeah. You know what I mean? We still try to center it in kind of that world of nerd culture, I guess. You know what I mean? But it's definitely become more pop culture. Yeah. And personal anecdotes, that kind of stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? So 90 will be 92 episodes.
Wow.
And we just started streaming live video.
Oh, word.
Last episode.
So it's brand new.
Yeah.
It's super brand new.
We have no idea what we're doing. And I set up a couple of cameras and I think I figured out what's probably literally the bare minimum of getting your video through to YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same show. So now you can watch it if you want to.
Yeah.
I have no idea why anybody would want to, but I keep being told, you really got to do video if you want people to, so that's what we did. So triplebpodcast.com.
Okay.
If you're interested in checking it out, it's about having fun more than anything. We're trying to entertain you, trying to make you laugh. It gets a little R-rated.
Yeah, you might want to keep the kids in the other room. Just but it's not anything too over
for the most part. Chase tends to have this real natural ability to take things just a little too far. You know what I mean? If I was talking by myself, it would very rarely get above PG-13 because that's just me.
That's
But you throw Chase into the mix, and you're gonna border on NC-17 on occasion.
No doubt. It's kind of one of the other things that's sort of cool as you talk about adding the video component. Now, the access is so great. YouTube, obviously, Instagram video is kind of the new thing that I think people are sort of catching on to, where you can create content and make it available for people there. It'll be exciting to see what sort of feedback you get as people get an opportunity to see you folk.
Yeah.
Aside from listening, podcasts are great for me because I drive so much, and it's really easy to be in the car and listen to something. Yep. But sometimes you are like can't fall asleep at night or whatever, and I go down the YouTube rabbit hole all the time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That's been my my thing lately too. I'm YouTube at night. That's what I do. Is there's so much stuff out there, and I think you'll agree too. You know, when it comes to podcasts and all that things, like, there's enough of it now that you kind of expect a certain level of quality. Like anything that's too amateur, or nobody wants to see that. Right. You know what I mean? Like, so that's definitely, going into video with Triple B for me is like, I don't want it to be that amateurish. I want it to feel like something that people are going to be like, okay, you're doing it right. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know if we are yet. Hopefully it's just at least just above that threshold. But, the YouTube wormhole at the end of the night has been my thing, man. Like, I get to the point where I'm trying to keep my eyes open because I want to watch one more video, comedians and people talking about nerd stuff and whatever. God, it's just there's never ending content. It's pretty funny. I'm in bed with my iPad, and I know it's time to go to sleep with my iPad, and I wake up because my iPad fell out of my hand. You know what I'm saying? But nah, man, I mean, so much stuff. I love reading or watching reviews for gear or concert footage or. Again, it's a rabbit hole because you intend to go here. Like the last week I've been deep on Third World, like the band Third World, and concert footage, and I was on Jimi Hendrix for a minute, man, and it can. See, I get into tech reviews.
New
products, new phones. What new phones are coming out? What can the new Google phone do? You know what I mean? Did you see the new Google call screening feature on the new Pixel? So if somebody calls you, you can either decline or answer like usual. But now they have a third option where Google Assistant will answer the call for you and kind of screen your call and figure out what the call's about before you decide whether to accept it or not.
That's really cool. I don't know. But all right. So did you see the video of the Boston robotics situation?
Oh, yeah.
Bruh.
Those things are crazy.
Bruh.
Yeah.
So now you got the Google Assistant being, you know what I'm saying? And now you got the man.
And the murder bots.
Bro, Terminator, bro. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
Yeah, it's like we're just watching it happen and everybody knows it's happening, but we can't not let it. Like, it has to happen, right? Like, what are we going to do?
Again,
we start writing down our grocery lists again? Come on, man.
But look, so just, take everything with a grain of salt. But there's a story that there was some sort of computer programming, robotics situation. I think it was just computer programming or AI that they actually shut down. I'm sure you know this
because it was getting too.
It created its own language.
Yeah, that's right.
And they were like, we don't understand what it's talking. So they flipped the switch, bruh. See,
hey, you got to break a few eggs if you're
gonna. Come on, man. we everybody saw Terminator.
Yeah, we all watched it.
Anyway,
we don't want that.
Anyway,
or do we?
No, we don't. I'm saying it right now. We don't. So one more time, your website. So there's two things people need to check up on. One is Triple B Podcast.
Yeah, if you want to check out the podcast, it's triplebpodcast.com. Okay. The website's whatever. I don't have money. I don't have that kind of money. You know what I mean? Like, I want fantastic websites, but it's what it is. All the shows are on there. Right. You can get access to our social media, our Twitter and Instagram feeds and stuff, and you can at least get to it.
Right.
But if you want to listen to the podcast, it's on all the podcast things, like you were saying earlier for this show.
Yeah.
Apple, Google Play, Stitcher, just Spotify, whatever.
Yeah.
Momentum Studios, PDX, however, if you want to be a rap superstar, which I know you do, you can go to zebdak.com, zebdak.com.
Okay.
And you can see some fancy pictures there at the studio taken by my cousin Elijah. And you can book studio time right there through the website. You don't even have to talk to me. That's the thing. Like, I'm trying to make this as easy for people as possible.
Right.
Mostly because I'm sick of getting calls and texts all the time about when I'm going to be, when I'm available.
Right.
You go right to the site, click the book button, and you can pick day, time, whenever, how many hours you want, and do it all right there through the website. And then you can come see me and we can make hits.
That's what's up. Do you, when you're recording artists, is there a sort of an unspoken or maybe spoken rule of, hey, like don't tell anybody that I'm recording this shit. Like I want to drop it on them on a random day. So,
oh, like from the artist?
From the artist, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. There's varying degrees of top secrecy that happen.
Right.
But at the same time, you can say that if you want to. But if you got your phone out and you're streaming your song live, it's kind of out of my hands at that point. So,
Right.
But yeah, that kind of stuff happens for sure. I don't. Very rarely will I ever take somebody else's music and show it to somebody unless if it's a colleague. Use a word like colleague.
Right.
If I need Smoke or Henri or somebody to listen to a mix I did, or Prince, for example, that happens sometimes, and I think that's kind of studio engineer or producer right. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Confidentiality or whatever. Like, but yeah, I would. You don't just go blasting people's unreleased music out into the world. You know what I mean?
Well, I asked that question to follow up with, is there anything that you would feel comfortable sharing that is on its way that people should kind of sort of be on the lookout for? Like I said, Henri just dropped his project.
Yeah, Henri just dropped Nervous Hand.
And you'll get an opportunity to see him on the 24th at the special.
And that's already
Wednesday
out. You
edition.
can find that Nervous Hand. He spells hand with a V instead of an A.
Yeah.
Which I don't hope you find it. Why would he make anything easy to find? But he's dropped a video for it already, and there's merch, all kind of merch.
There's vinyl.
Yeah,
all
like
the DJs,
special vinyl packages and all this cool stuff you can get. So definitely check that out. Well, let's see. I know Cool Nuts just recently finished an album. I don't know if he's put it out yet or not.
Oh yeah, Pig Ears and Chitlin.
Is it out?
Yep, it's out.
So that's out already. Check that out.
Yep.
Mike Capes has been working on new stuff. Rashid Jamal has been working on new stuff.
And I know, bro. I got to get with you, bro. I know. I'm on it. My
bad. Trey Rideau just dropped a new song, I believe, called Good Life.
Which I need to get a radio edit from.
Yeah, that's right. We were called out on Instagram over it, weren't we? Teaspoon's always putting out songs, new videos, innovative videos. Tim Slew, the director for at least some of them, he's so amazing. He did Henri's Nervous Hand video. He's out there doing everything. The guy's top notch. Yeah. One of the best for sure.
Yeah.
So don't holler at him because you can't afford him anyway.
No.
Let's see who else. Who else has been in there? Dre Steves.
Okay.
Dre Steves and Bino Bandman. I don't know what their rap names are.
Yeah.
That's who they are.
Yeah.
To me, they got a new album coming out. Deacon Street, I think it's called.
Okay.
That should be out shortly if it's not out already. Again, like I don't necessarily keep up on that kind of stuff about it, you know what I mean? But I know it's there. I know we were working on it. I know I mastered it.
Right.
Let me see what else. We may or may not possibly be working on a new Oldominion.
Woo! Okay, we can stop the podcast now. I'm good.
There may or may not be new Oldominion material on the way. Look, we've tried. I mean, look, the Oldominion album 1 came out in 2001.
So crazy to me, bro.
We put out an album sort of in 2008 called Make Happy, which was our 10-year anniversary.
I think I remember that.
2008 was our 10-year anniversary.
It's nuts to me.
So 2018,
It'll be 20 years.
20 years of Oldominion, and we haven't put an album out. So
it's probably time. It's probably time. Look, bro, there's enough working members of Oldominion. You know what I mean?
Yep. Candid in Seattle.
Yeah.
Candid and Smoke have kind of taken the reins on this.
Okay.
So I think that with those guys' drive and their abilities, we should be able to make it work in some capacity. I hope so. I mean, it's, you know, what are you going to do? Like, Old Dominion, that's been my life for a long, long time. And in 2001, it was going to make us all rich and famous.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But you know, life happens, man, and people move, and people have kids, and people get married, and people buy houses, and next thing you know, 10, 15, 20 years has gone by.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
but to me, the exciting part of that is the fact that, you know, you've got artists now who are 20-year vets. So to it, you can make the case that definitely more experienced, more seasoned as artists. You just think about the members of Old Dominion to make that crew record. I mean, that's going to be amazing, man. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I hope we can get it all put together.
Yeah.
Because if we can, it's going to be great. Like, there's no way it's not going to be great.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention also, Destro has also been working on a ton of music. I'm not sure what his release schedule looks like. And then IME,
he just
dropped something.
Yeah.
You gross. I don't know how to.
I think it's you gross.
His thing's all about sheep now, and I don't really. I don't know.
I know.
Shout out to my guy. I love my dude, but I don't know what the sheep thing is. But maybe that's just because I haven't asked him.
Yeah.
To explain it to me.
Yeah.
So maybe I should reach out, and instead of putting him on blast publicly, I could have a private conversation and handle this like grown men. Right?
Hey, but you know what? It gets you talking about the project, though. You know what I mean?
Hey, any press is good press.
Right? Man, dude, it's been it's really been a pleasure and an honor to have you come through, man. Like I said, I'm a fan of what I've seen you do for the Portland scene over the years. And then the times that we have had an opportunity to sit and chop it up. I'm a fan of you as a person. I think that at the end of the day, you're just a good guy, and I appreciate all of the moments that you've given me, because I know you're just crazy busy. So to have you come in here and sit with me for, I don't know, an hour or whatever, I just want to say thank you.
Well, man, I you know what, I appreciate you saying that, and I kind of feel the same way about you. Like, DJ Klyph has always been, every time I hear your name, it's something good. You know what I mean? I think you're in good standing in the Portland hip hop scene, and I think people appreciate what you do, and I really appreciate you having me on here to talk about all this stuff.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So for sure, a couple things to do, man. Definitely go check out the Triple B podcast. Subscribe on whatever your podcast service is. Didn't y'all have merch for a hot minute?
No, we haven't really worked.
Okay, I thought I saw.
It's only been 3.5 years. Like, give us some time. We'll get some shirts together at some point. We just had a new logo design. My boy Charms One up in Seattle, who I've known since high school, did us a new super dope hip hop style, hand style logo.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So probably would be a good thing to get on some shirts or some hats or something. So hopefully we can work that out.
Man. And then y'all gotta support for real. I know you got the Patreon.
Right, we got the Patreon. I mean, that's cool. Patreon.com/Triple B podcast if you're interested. You know, I'm not trying to solicit nobody for no money they don't want to spend. But I did want to mention DJ Zone is now officially an engineer at Momentum Studios.
We talked about that on the podcast, yeah.
So it's more than just me now. And so now there's late night availability and all that stuff people have been asking for years. So if you do want to come record late night you know what, Zone has been doing this for a long. He's a youngster in my eyes, but he's been doing this for a long time as well. Yeah. And if he's not better than me at it already, it's only a matter of time. So get him while he's affordable.
And Zone, look, man, I've learned this and mess with Zone. Zone is a robot. Like, he's not human. He doesn't sleep.
Yeah.
He's stupid creative.
And he's wacky.
Yeah, and he's don't challenge him with the Rubik's Cube. I already tried that. It was not a good look. So.
Yeah, he will solve the Rubik's Cube in the minute and 13 seconds or whatever now because it's fast. It's unbelievable, and but he probably also mixes just as fast as he does that. So
check out Momentum Studios for real, man. Get in there if you want quality recording. I'll make that happen. Okay, I'm gonna bring this up.
Okay.
And you can give a hard pass on it because you mentioned and I again I kind of knew where I wanted to go going into this and doing research, and I was like, whoa, how did I miss that? So like you said, in your past you were an MC.
Well, I wouldn't say all that.
In the past you used to rap.
I rapped. Yeah.
And like within the last short amount of time there was a rap battle with you and Cool Nuts.
Well, okay.
Maybe I shouldn't say rap battle. There was a back and forth.
Look. Okay, so Cool Nuts. I love Cool Nuts. Cool Nuts is my dude. But he sometimes I don't think he's busy. He's a busy man, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I don't know that he appreciates necessarily that I'm a busy man too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So he hit me up one day talking about he needs some acapellas to send, I don't know, Funk Daddy in Seattle or something like that. And I was like, bro, I'll get them to you as soon as I can. Like, he didn't like that. He didn't like that it wasn't like a yes, sir, I'll have those right over to you, sir, Mr. Cool Nuts. I'll have those right over to you.
Yeah.
So he came at me, man. He came at me on a record in an old fashioned hip hop diss track.
Right.
So I did what my hip hop roots obligated me to do, and I clapped back. Right? Woo! So I took some inspiration from my dude Hanif, aka Luck One.
One of the best in the business, man.
And I took that Rick Ross Stay Schemin' beat, just like he had done previously, and I said some things that needed to be said.
That was so cool to listen to, bro. That was so cool to listen to.
That's for sure the most fun I've had on a personal level doing hip hop.
Yeah.
It was a really good time. I'll never write. I think I wrote 24 bars, and I was like, I'm
done.
Yeah, that's the last bars I'll ever write.
Right. That's so cool, man. My guy, Zebulon Dak. Once again, check him out. Zebdak?
Zebdak.com. Zebdak.com.
No doubt. And then also the Triple B podcast. Once again, Brett, thank you so much, man.
Hey, thank you, bro.
It was a lot of fun.
I really appreciate it. It was good to be here.
Absolutely. Once again, man, remember you can check out the Klyph Notes podcast everywhere you listen to your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or you can go to www.klyphnotes.com. If you do listen on Apple Podcasts, please rate, comment, and that goes a long way in helping us do what we're trying to do here. If you're interested in getting one of the Klyph Notes t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, go to 37limited.com. And then once again, I got to shout out my folk over at Acapella Apparel for their support of the Klyph Notes podcast. Check them out, akepele.com. Big ups to X-Ray FM for their gracious hosting of the Klyph Notes, recording of the Klyph Notes podcast. And last but definitely not least, big ups to my guy. Congratulations to Theory Has It for the new release, the new Redman track that just dropped. And he's just a good guy, man. So
Theory's
big ups to Theory.
Dude.
He really, truly is, man, for providing the theme song for Klyph Notes. All right, y'all, that is it. You can check us out all over social media. Zeb, where you at on social?
Everywhere. Zebulon Dak, Instagram, Twitter. Hey, one last thing I totally forgot to mention, I got is real quick. Check out hawkscast.com. I do a Seahawks podcast every Wednesday night, a live Seahawks podcast, Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. But if you go to hawkscast.com, we got a website there where we post all the podcasts and everything. So
that's
check
what's
it
up.
out there.
I didn't realize
I should
that.
have mentioned that earlier. I completely slipped.
No. We'll have to subscribe to that one as well. Hawkscast.
Hawkscast.com. Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. Yeah, man. And then you can follow me all over social media at DJ Klyph, at DJ KLYPH, or check out the website djklyph.com. Remember, October the 24th, it's the special Wednesday edition of Mic Check PDX featuring the man you've been hearing so much about, Henri Osborne, is coming through along with Steve-O the Weirdo.
Shout out to Steve-O too, man.
Yeah, Steve-O, that's that dude, man. Half and Half are going to be in the building. They came through and rocked the open mic and did such an awesome job that we wanted to have them on the bill. Free Tillman's coming through to do a beat set. DJs OG1 and DJ Trox will be in the building. We're going to have the open mic segment, the Mic Check Cypher, and we're going to have vinyl. We're giving away vinyl, man. Shout out to our new sponsor, Cascade Record Pressing, of course, X-Ray FM and McMenamins. All right, y'all. Until we have an opportunity to do this again, God bless. Peace.